So you've taken the plunge and you've booked in time to work with a coach. Fantastic. A great investment for your own development. Now what? The first coaching session is in your calendar. How do you prepare? My name is Dr. Richard McKinnon. I'm a workplace psychologist and coach, and on this channel, I share insights from the science of psychology to help you be your best self at work. In this video, I'm going to share some tips and tricks to help you prepare for your very first coaching session. And if coaching is a new concept to you, I'm going to link below to a previous video which is all about the fundamentals of coaching. But let's jump in. When I work with coaching clients, something I really emphasize is the time-limited nature of our professional relationship. In other words, we've got a limited number of sessions and that we want to extract the maximum value from each one. Now, this isn't to put pressure on anyone, coachee or coach, but just to remind us both to focus on the task at hand and to engage with the coaching process with intent. And that way we make maximum use of our time together. Now, if you don't prepare for your very first coaching session, you may find that you'll use up some of that valuable time clarifying details and exploring simple things that could have been done in advance. And that may mean you leave that first session feeling a little bit disappointed at the progress that you've made. Now, it's really good practice to have a chemistry meeting with your coach before you sign up to a coaching program. This is no commitment, free conversation where you find out more about them and they find out about you and your context and the topics you want to work on. And you mutually agree whether or not you think this relationship is going to work. So it's an opportunity for you to audition your coach in a sense. Now, if you've never done that before, you may not know what it is that you need to know. And so questions about your coach, their approach, their methods, their qualifications, their experience, these also might be buzzing around in your mind before that first session. So make sure you make contact with the coach and clarify them. There are no silly questions when it comes to, are you the coach for me? If, like many people, you've got a hectic schedule already, it's not a great idea to have a meeting that runs right up until just before your coaching session, because you'll arrive in that coaching session a little bit frantic, a little bit stressed maybe, but at least you'll still have the memories from that last meeting buzzing around in your mind. Likewise, having a meeting scheduled for immediately after the coaching session means that your attention might turn to that next meeting while you're still in the coaching session. So it's a good idea to leave a little bit of time, maybe just 10 or 15 minutes before and after the coaching session, so that afterwards you can review your notes, really be clear on what it is that your key takeaways are and what you've committed to do before you launch into the rest of your day. Next is coaching, logistics, and practicalities. These are very simple things to clarify in advance and to bear in mind when it comes to this first coaching session. At the time of recording, so much coaching, in fact, so much work is happening remotely. And so you'll probably have to use an app to have that video call with your coach. Which app is it going to be? The last thing you want is to find out 5 minutes before the start of your coaching session that you need to download a new app to make contact with your coach, or even find that your corporate IT department has blocked it for some reason. Other logistical things to clarify are the number of sessions that you're going to have, the duration of each session, the frequency with which these sessions are going to be put in the schedule, how you go about booking them, whether or not your coach is contactable in between the sessions. You see, these kinds of things could be buzzing around in your mind while you're in the first coaching session. So clarify them before you even turn up, and then you'll know a lot more about the coaching experience. If your first coaching session is face-to-face, be clear on where you're going to go to. Look up the location, be clear on how to get there, how long it's going to take you, maybe build in a little bit of extra time, because again, just like a last-minute meeting, turning up physically to your coaching session, a hot, sweaty, frantic mess is not really conducive to that focus, that concentration, that calm that we would like to have in the session. Next is your coaching focus, the topic or topics that you want to work on. You may have briefly covered these in the chemistry meeting, but it's useful for you to spend some time elaborating on this for yourself. What is it that you want to work on? What do you want more of in your life? What do you want less of? What are the kinds of changes you want to make? Maybe there's a specific goal in mind, but think about Why is it important to you? Why is it important now, at this point in time? What is it about your personal and professional context that makes this a priority for you? It's very useful to reflect on this so that you can talk fluently about it. You don't have to have it word for word perfect. You don't need to have 100% clarity on it. But again, to extract maximum value from the limited time you'll have with your coach, prepare, reflect, make some notes so that when you start that work together, you've done some of it. You've kind of pre-chewed some of this. I'm not sure if that carries across to thinking, but you've pre-thunk it. Let's put it that way. It can also be useful to look to the past when you think about the topics you want to work on now. In all likelihood, this isn't the first time you've considered working on this area of yourself. So what did you do previously? What worked well for you? What do you think prevented you from reaching the goal before now? What are you going to do differently this time round to make it a more successful and fulfilling experience? A really common thing that comes up in coaching for me is the coachee wanting to use some evidence, some documentation, something to shape the conversation. So in the world of work, this could be something like performance review that has some feedback that illustrates something that they want to work on. It could be a report from a 360-degree feedback exercise, or it could be a personality profile because they've completed a personality questionnaire at some point. Don't rely on your memory to dip into this complex information. In all likelihood, you won't remember it accurately or in full, and it'll end up being a bit of a time sink in the meeting. So gather that information before the first coaching session and bring it with you. Or when you're doing this remotely, have it accessible to you. In fact, if it's something that is like a report and you want to build this into the session, send it to your coach in advance. And that way they've got time to read through it, and then you're on the same page when you commence that coaching session. My final point is to think about any concerns or worries you have. If this is your very first experience of coaching, your mind could be giving you all kinds of concerns and worries about what it might be like and what might go wrong. Believe me, there's nothing your coach hasn't heard before. So please ask those questions, share those concerns in advance, or at least make a list of them so that you can cover them off at the very beginning of that coaching session. Your coach, ideally, will ask you if you have questions or concerns before you go any further. And that way you can have a bit of a mental sweep and you can get them out of the way. They won't be taking up any mental bandwidth as you try and have your first conversation. So there we have it. Some key things to reflect on so you can prepare for your very first coaching session. Now, in the next video, I'm going to explore some of the really common pitfalls that I observe in coaching practice. So if you've enjoyed this video, click like below. If you've got any questions about coaching or how to prepare for that first coaching session, please drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer them really quickly. As ever, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.